Hello, Internet, and my teacher. You're watching something I rushed and made for school. I hope it's enjoyable. Anyway, I'm Sophia. If you watch my stuff here, you know me as Core. Why didn't you make a separate channel for this? I'm lazy, that's why. Anyways, I'm gonna talk to you about the progressive era. Or at least one key element of it. I would relay the whole thing, but we don't have the time, and the direction said a key element, so let's talk about trust busting. Wait, hold up, we'll get to you in a second. We need context here. The progressive era. What was it all about? So back in the 1890s, things actually sucked. If you lived in America, you probably lived in a cramped little house with dirt and spit and disease and a bunch of other people you're forced to share a bed with called a tenement. Chances are the food you're buying for you and your roommates has some things in it like ground up rat corpses and dung. Nutritious. I should feed that to my children. I'm sure it won't cause any issues. Your child has cholera. Not my problem, little loser child. Out on the streets, things aren't any better. Many people can't even afford tenements and are forced out to beg on the streets for food and money. Infant mortality rate is high in hospitals, and 90% of infants who survive are dumped out on the streets and shrivel up anyway. Children who get the privilege of growing up end up in factories to operate heavy machinery that pumps chemicals into their little lungs at the age of 8. Women have no rights at all. Racism is super bad. Did I mention companies are exploitative and couldn't care less about their workers, and the government isn't getting involved because they aren't allowed to? Thanks, laissez-faire. The French economic philosophy that the government shouldn't get involved in the free market, that was integrated into American law. So things are looking pretty awful, and no one bothers to do anything about it. Dude. What? I just had an idea. What if we, did something about it? Progressive presidents are presidents who were progressive, aka presidents who actually looked at the problems of the country and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't just sit back and watch the dumpster fire burn. The first of these guys was Theodore Roosevelt. He thought that maybe the people who run the country actually have responsibility for the state of the country and its people, a belief that was concerningly rare at the time. It is the duty of the president to act upon the theory that he is the steward of the people, and to assume that he has the legal right to do whatever the needs of the people demand, unless the Constitution or the laws explicitly forbid him to do it. So during this time, corporations loved deforestation and taking all the natural resources for themselves. Hey, stop. We kind of need that, man. I don't care. I said quit it. What are you gonna do about it? I'm literally the president of the United States. Yeah, laissez-faire. What are you gonna do about it? Teddy began the first ever environmental conservation program, placing federal protection over about 195 million acres and their resources, such as oil, wood, coal, etc. Now, many of these corporations, like the one he just hit with a big stick, were known as bad trusts. Basically, just exploitative monopolies. Monopolies are big companies that buy out other companies' resources, anything relating to their process of production, stuff like that. They also have hundreds of thousands of employees who'd have to deal with awful working conditions. They also restricted trade. That's not good. We need that, and we need workers to actually not get diseases from their 12-hour-long breakless jobs. So Teddy Roosevelt passes the Sherman Antitrust Act, which broke up and restricted monopolies. Here's a political cartoon. What are you wearing? But anyways, Teddy was the first president to actually do anything about monopolies. Because of this, he was known as the Trustbuster, for busting trusts. But how does trust busting work? Basically, with the Sherman Antitrust Act, there were a lot of new rules and regulations trusts had to follow. And if you don't, Teddy would hit you with his big stick. Trust me, you do not want to get hit with the big stick. I am not being held at big stick point. Teddy Roosevelt is not about to bash me over the head for child labor. Anyone who says otherwise is a liar. I am fine and perfectly safe. In actuality, the big stick in this situation is a lawsuit and an order from the court saying, your company sucks, it's dissolved. Theodore Roosevelt busted around 25 monopolies. Some presidents would follow in his footsteps, like Taft, who busted 50, and Wilson, who passed the second antitrust act that protected workers' right to strike and put in place a system that would monitor unfair business practices. Trust busting was essential to the progressive era because the whole deal with this era was that it was a time when people were doing something about unfair business practices, corrupt monopolies, poor working conditions, environmental exploitation, and more. Trust busting helps eliminate companies that participated in each of these things. This means it directly helps improve the quality of life in America. Alright, that's all there is to cover if I'm not mistaken. There's 900 words on this script, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. Teddy Roosevelt invented trust busting, and he got rid of corrupt monopolies and improved the economy, quality of life, and working conditions in America. that's the summary. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye!